Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are live tonight. I have Paul Lyons joining me for the Person Behind the Profile episode tonight. How are you, Paul?
I'm well, thank you, Amy. And you?
Yeah, going well, thank you. Everyone that is coming in to join us right now, I would love to know where you're from. So type in the comments below. Let us know where you're coming in from. I know it's going to be a global audience. We're across YouTube, we're across Facebook, and we're across LinkedIn right now as well. So let us know where you're listening from. Let us know where you're coming in from. And if you're catching the replay, write hashtag replay below so I know that you're on for the replay as well. So I'm really excited to bring Paul on tonight for everyone. This series is something that I love to do because it really allows us to get to know the person behind the profile on LinkedIn. And so, it's a really good way to dive into some people's experience and expertise. We've got Mohammed joining in from LinkedIn, Mohan from India. This is great. Awesome, guys. Welcome. I was excited to dive in with you tonight, Paul, because you are a business advisor and you specialize in mental toughness and resilience. And I know you just have such a wealth of experience in business, particularly in the recruitment space, which is where I started out in my career. So I'm super excited to dive in a little bit more with you today. So I'd love to hear from you, like for people that don't know you, maybe they've come across your profile, but don't know the Paul behind the profile. Tell us a little 30-second intro into yourself and what you do.
Sure, yeah, thank you. Thanks, Amy. So I'm on my third career now. So the first career I had was as a chartered accountant, but then moved into recruitment. And I was in recruitment for about 30 years with two companies across the UK, Asia, Australia. One was Michael Page, which is a big company. And then the second is a company called Ambition, which I co-founded with a colleague of mine, Nick Walderworth. And that business is still going from strength to strength. But I left about 6 or 7 years ago to be my third career, which is as a business advisor, business coach, and particularly helping founders and owners of businesses, and particularly with regard to their mindset, so helping them get their mindset to make better decisions, and particularly owners, because they have lots of challenges. They generally are wearing two hats. They're managing the business and they're owning the business. So often they have some complex challenges and opportunities as well. So I help them help them get what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I read a statistic recently, actually, that nowadays we'll have 5 different careers and up to like 17 different jobs. So the fact that you're on your third career, I absolutely love. I think that's great because, it's always good to like keep evolving and keep using your experience and expertise from what you've done in the past and keep adding value and keep sort of changing things up as you move, which is awesome. And I know, being a business owner myself and working with other business owners too, like there are a lot of challenges that are thrown up for leaders this day. And this is even relevant if you're listening to, if you're an executive leader, if you're working within a large organization, there's some very big challenges that are thrown our way. So what are maybe 2 or 3 of the key challenges that you see with business leaders today?
I think that, as you say, there are quite a few, and they change from day to day. But probably the consistent ones, I think, and I think they are relevant for leaders, but I'll focus perhaps on leaders who are owners. Is often they'll get overwhelmed. So as an owner, you have you've often got a shortage of resources or money or time or clarity. But therefore you just get overwhelmed. You're not sure about decisions to make. So that's one that I come across all the time. Another I would think is for owners, which people might think is strange, but owners get very lonely. Not lonely in the sad and lonely aspect, but really lonely in terms of having to make decisions on their own. So often for me, I'm able to help them. I'm a sounding board, perhaps, for them to make the decisions or to help them see perhaps the opportunities that they've got. So that's very prevalent as well. And another one, which is one that I would never have expected, but is very common, is for owners to suddenly fall out of love with their business. So, and it's often around 3 years or 4 years in, they'll just lose sight of their purpose. They'll lose sight of why they're in the business anyway. And I think a lot of that's down to the fact that they're just in the daily grind without necessarily seeing any joy or benefit. So again, I'm trying to help them rediscover their purpose.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think, you touched on so many things that I know if you're a business owner listening to this, a lot might resonate with you as well. We've got Richard that's joined us. Welcome everyone. This is great. And I think the loneliness is a big one, because you do have to make decisions on your own, and you do have to back yourself in those decisions. And sometimes, those decisions are the right ones, and sometimes they're not. Hindsight is a great thing. But I think, like you touched on too, just having that sounding board and having that perspective, I think is really important, because the environment has thrown up and continually throws up a lot of different challenges, for business owners at different stages too. I think I heard, I was at a conference yesterday, and one of the things that was repeated throughout the day was, what got you to one level in your business isn't necessarily going to get you to the next level. So I think, back to your story of even constantly adapting in your career as well, I think is really relevant to today's world. And I guess when it comes to, building resilience with leaders, which I know is your specialty, what does that actually mean? Like, how would you sort of define resilience when we talk about it?
Yeah, I think the traditional view of resilience is probably bouncing back or pushing through some challenges. And I tend to use a phrase which is called mental toughness. And mental toughness is a combination of resilience. So this ability to keep going or to respond to challenges, and positivity and agility. So this ability to spot and seize opportunities and make the most of them. So I prefer mental toughness because it's a broader definition, but also because it's very, very well backed by research. So there's a lot of research that demonstrates the benefits of mental toughness to individuals. And so that's really why I like the phrase, because it's backed by a psychometric framework that's valid and reliable.
Yeah, great. And I'd love to hear from people that are listening to this as well. We've got Randall from New Orleans as well. Wow. Welcome, Randall. I'd love to hear from you as well. If you want to type in the comments, like, what does mental toughness or resilience mean to you? And type a yes if you think it's really important for people to be focusing on their resilience and their mental toughness, particularly in the time that we're in as well. I know COVID obviously has thrown up a lot of different challenges for business leaders and business owners that they might not have been expecting as well. So how important is it for a business leader or a business owner to actually put some energy and some focus around building this mental toughness or building their resilience?
Yeah, so absolutely. First thing to say probably is it is a mindset. So it is, it's something that everybody can get in the right mindset. The other thing, the next thing to say probably is that we're all different. We've all got this a unique mental profile. So some of us are naturally mentally tough.
Yeah.
Some of us are perhaps the other end of the scale, what we call mentally sensitive. There'll be some people who are too mentally tough as well. So we've all got first thing we've got to do really is just work out who we are. And that's the starting point. So I think that the almost the advice in terms of for people wanting to get set with their mental toughness is just be in tune with yourself. So work out who you are, kind of what you stand for, what your values are, what your purpose is, trying to work out situations where you get under pressure, situations that you use your sweet spot and your signature strengths where really you shine. So I think this is about, and that's a kind of a lifelong learning, is just understanding who you are, because you have this starting point really to sort of tackle the world, knowing where your mindset is. And as I say, it's different for everyone. So that's the important thing. I think first thing is the starting point.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think it is, a lot to do with mindset. And mindset is everything in business as well. And I think it's such an important thing to have, because I know for many business owners out there, there's no shortage of strategy or the latest tactic or the latest idea. And, without having that self-awareness, like you spoke about as well, about knowing yourself, knowing your strengths, and then also how to really have the right kind of mindset to take on those strategies or to execute in the right way, I think is absolutely fundamental. So I think that's a really great point, Paul.
Yeah, the self-awareness is really important. And overall, I think just what I would say, it's around trying to get the right balance between achieving outcomes and letting your emotions show. So there's this balance between outcomes and emotions that you have to decide what the balance is going to be. And for some people, they need to become more focused on outcomes and less reactive around being emotional. And for other people, it's the other way around. So that's where that self-awareness comes in, because you've really got to understand sort of where you lie on that continuum. Are you very outcomes focused? If you are, you're probably going to be quite mentally tough already. But if you're not, you may think, well, I do need to be less emotional or less subject to reacting to situations and take a more structured, outcomes focused approach to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes in business, we can all get in over our heads, and it's like fighting fires all of the time. We've got Eileen that's joined from Melbourne. Hi, everyone. I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Like, in terms of mindset, what are some of the things that you think are super important when it comes to thinking about mindset and developing your mindset? What's things that have worked for you as well in terms of really starting to understand yourself, whether you're in business, whether in your careers, or whether you're in a leadership role as well? I'd love to hear about, the role that mindset has played for you as well, which is great. Now, I think, environment has a lot to do with this too, Paul, because sometimes we can just be cruising along in our day, in our business, and then we turn up one morning and we might get an email from a team member. We might get something, like you said, that has just triggered us emotionally. And like you said, depending on how far, I guess, along that range or that spectrum you are, it can affect people in different ways. So when we think about some of the external, like environmental factors and things that are happening all around us all the time in business, how does that play a part in you being able to build your resilience or mental toughness?
Yes, it's huge, Amy. It really is. So, we don't live in a vacuum. So we are impacted by everything going on around us. And so the trick, I suppose, or the technique or the strategy really is to be as objective and unemotive as you can be when there's everything going on around you. So trying to stay calm and measured, as I say, so that you can analyze situations without that overlay of emotion that we all get. But really often to make more right decisions, you want to try and strip that away and just be very much focused on the outcome. What am I going to do here? And be unemotive and be objective. So a lot around mental toughness is really trying to manage those situations so that you're not emotional. And obviously there's a time and place to be emotional in work and out of work, but it's more about having control over those emotions.
Yeah, I think that's great, because you can choose how you're going to show up as well. You need to show up in certain situations to deal with different situations sometimes. That's right. I think we're all human at the end of the day. So I think the more we can kind of be aware of our triggers and what happens, the more we can actually start to put the steps in place, like you said, to be able to reach the outcomes that we intend to, without sort of getting tangled along the way in the process.
Yeah, that's right. And it is a balance, because we don't want to be robots either. So we've all come across people who are really unemotive and aloof and difficult to connect with. So that's not necessarily who we want to be either. We do want that good balance. But one's emotions have the ability to derail you in situations and really negatively affect the impact you have on people around you or on the situation or decisions you make. So that's why mental toughness is so important, because it's an enabler to make better decisions. So that's really why I like the technique so much.
Yeah. And you mentioned, others around you as well. Like often in business, we're not just a silo. We've got teams, we've got people, we've got clients, we've got, everyone that's working in and around this ecosystem of business. So how, when you're a leader and you're working on your own mental toughness, like what effect does that have on others? And maybe a two-part question in terms of how can we actually help others in our team perhaps to develop some of the mental toughness and develop some of that self-awareness themselves?
Good question. So I'll answer them in two parts. I mean, initially, I think start with the end in mind. So how do you want to impact on a situation or on a person? And there's a very clear link between the way you think and the way you act, and then the way you act and the way that you impact on other people. So you've heard of the phrase, he's got a short, and it's usually him, he's got a short fuse. And that's because he will think, act and impact almost in a nanosecond. So if it's me, there might be something that gets me going, and before I realize it, I've said something that I've been half thinking, and that's impacted terribly on a group of people around me. So really what I would have to learn to do is to work out, well, how do I want to impact on that group? And that's hopefully going to be positively in a certain way. So if I'm impacting that way, I've got to behave in a certain way. And if I'm going to behave in a certain way, I've got to think in a certain way. So that's where this mindset comes in, that you've got to think in a certain way that then will flow through to this impact you have on people. So it's almost start with the end in mind and work backwards on the impact. And then I think I always feel with working with other people, there's a lot to be said for, and this isn't necessarily mental toughness. There's a lot of sort of emotional intelligence in this, but it's really trying to understand people's situation and motivation. So if you can get an idea of where people have come from in their life or in a situation or a circumstance, and what their motivation is, where are they on their way to, you get a much better insight to who they are, where they're at, and perhaps how together you can achieve an outcome that's beneficial for you both. So it doesn't have to be adversarial. So that's something I'd also suggest, that when you're dealing with other people, that's something you're trying to achieve. Now that might be somebody that you work with. So the more you can understand about them, then the more likely you are to be able to connect and achieve an outcome. And then to answer your question about how would you help them with their mental toughness, I think that some of the ways to do that without being obvious and being preachy is perhaps feedback, communication, being positively optimistic with people. So complimenting them on things they've done well, thanking people for their assistance. So that helps people with their confidence. So that's important. I think the more you can do to help everyone around you be self-aware and understand where they're at, the more likely the whole group or whole team is to be successful.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's kind of an interesting line to cross sometimes as well, because, we've all had those moments where we've had someone reflect something back to us that might not be so favorable and give us some feedback on that. And you're like, oh, okay, I didn't really see it that way. And so I think it's, you mentioned before, like everyone's human. And I think it's understanding not just yourself, but then others around you, and how everyone sort of fits together as well. I think in a team is super important, and like you said, delivering that feedback to help people and sort of guide people through without kind of, preaching to them, which I think doesn't really go down too well sometimes.
No, I think the other thing I'd say as a leader is just ensure that the values of the team or the organization are very clear as well. So if everybody understands what their culture is and the values are, then it's easier to build a mentally strong framework, because everybody understands what everyone else is trying to achieve. So very important as a leader to be very clear and communicate effectively around what we stand for and why we stand for it, and being respectful of that amongst the group, so that you have a positive, not a negative environment.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from people listening to this. We've got Colin from Queensland, Australia. Welcome, Colin, as well. I'd love to hear from you as well, if you've ever had to navigate as a leader, giving someone some tricky feedback before, and how that went down. I'd love to hear some stories and some good, bad, and the ugly things that have happened through there, and the key lessons that you really learnt from that as well, in terms of, knowing yourself and then knowing others around you as well. And I think that's so awesome. So, Paul, like when we think about heading forward in business, and we kind of, forecast forward the next, say, 5-10 years, I don't know if we can even think that far ahead. We don't know what's around the corner. What are some things that business owners can really keep in mind to, help them with their mindset, their mental toughness, to help them, move forward and be successful in business?
Yeah, there's certainly a couple of strategies, Amy. I'd say, I'm not sure about 5 or 10 years, but getting, obviously we talked about this understanding of yourself. The next thing I think is really building good habits and good routines. So the key to having a strong mindset, a resilient mindset, is always feeling like you're moving forward, you're making progress, you're getting things done. That gives you a sense of forward momentum. And to do that, often you need to have good routines, good habits, because they help you make good decisions. So they may be anything from an early morning routine. So getting up at the same time and almost doing the same things early morning to get you on the runway to a positive day. So, for example, for myself, same time every day, exercise in the morning, a bit of meditation, breakfast, etc., in the same order. So I just start to feel comfortable about the day. I visualize what my day is going to look like. So that I think building good habits. So and other people would have other routines around the end of the day, or things they eat, their exercise, diet, all of those things. So routines are important. The other thing I would say is, we talked about this personal checking in with yourself and being self-aware. If you've got a mindset that I want to be the best version I can be of myself, then you get in a mindset of always looking for opportunities to improve the way that you do things, test yourself against new opportunities, push yourself beyond your comfort zone. And you get in the mindset then of being ready for anything, so that change actually becomes something that you welcome rather than something you fear. So that's another thing I think, is just being, how can I be the best version of myself? And then finally, we all have a negativity bias. So the brain's sort of built to keep us out of trouble. And so about 70% of the 50,000 or so thoughts and feelings we have every day are negative. And that's just the brain's way to keep us safe from millions and millions of years ago. So really what you need to do is to try and counteract this negativity. And a lot of us will feel that through our inner voice talking to us, no, you can't do that, Paul. You're not good enough, or it's too hard, should stop, you don't do that. And really what we need to do,
think of me.
that's one that my inner voice would talk about all the time. So really it's just trying to be conscious and have a positive commentary in your mind that just keeps you going. It's not necessarily automatically overriding what your negative voice says, but it's really just being very conscious that if you feel your mind is being overly negative, it's just to overlay some positivity and keep yourself, you know, positive and optimistic and motivated and want to succeed, because it's very easy to get into this downward spiral. So those are a few of the things that are really easy to do. Build good routines, be positive, be the best version of yourself. Most importantly, just check in every day and just understand where you're at. And, you know, if you need to make some decisions to change things, change things.
Absolutely love that, Paul. I think it's so important now, you know, as we're sort of moving through different stages in the world and with everyone at different stages in their careers and their businesses. I think this has been a super helpful and valuable conversation. If you have found this valuable, let me know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're watching the replay, as I said, do hashtag replay in the comments so I know you're there too. I wanted to thank you, Paul, because these conversations, you have well and truly delivered on the purpose of these conversations, which is to, you know, get in there and provide some value and allow, I guess, us to really tap into your expertise. And these, you know, I'm very fortunate to know you and be able to bring you in as part of my hand-picked guests that I have on these LinkedIn Live series. So thank you so much for joining me, Paul.
Thank you, Amy, for those kind words, and thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, you know, new opportunities and getting yourself out of your comfort zone as well. And so for anyone that's kind of looking to do that, really looking to grow their personal brand on LinkedIn and really looking for some new strategies, you'll find the link just below this video, amylsmith.com/blueprint. If you want to go and grab my LinkedIn blueprint for free to help you do that, you are more than welcome to go and grab that. And make sure to join me next week. I will have another special guest on for you. This guy, Luke, that I'm bringing on next week, he is a Facebook ads guru and a Google AdWords guru as well. So if you are a business owner and you're looking to start using paid advertising in your business, I'm bringing Luke on next week, and we will be getting straight into some good stuff all around advertising. So make sure to join us next week. And thank you so much again, Paul. It's been great to have you.
Thank you. I'll definitely be tuning in next week for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Amy.